Hey, how's it going, YouTube? We've got a pretty crazy one for y'all today because I, despite spending the last hour on it, cannot find an answer. We're hanging out over on twitch.tv/Lawler, talking and theory crafting about what rosters may look like going into the 2025 season. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, we're completely lost. The way that we're doing this is with two different documents. Number one, the one you guys know and love, that is in the description down below. It is my roster document where we've got all the roster rumors and stuff like that. We took all those teams and players and we put some free agents and some coaches and stuff together, and are now trying to formulate what our top 10 in the RLCS will be. We're going to start with North America and try to talk through the process. As you are noticing, there's a lot of blanks. We don't know what the heck is going to go on, and a lot of these parts are going to be moving. So without some key puzzle pieces, it's difficult to give you a definitive answer, but we're going to try. First up, we're going to do North America. G2, likely, in my opinion, the only roster in the RLCS staying the exact same, unless it's an import team, which we'll talk about at the tail end. So my assumption, G2 is going to stay the exact same. First and second place in every single event. Second at the World Championship. Super close to bringing it to Game 7. G2, no reason to change, in my opinion. Because realistically, when you look at North America, who would they bring in and who would you replace to make it better? And I can't find an answer. Up next, we then look at both Gen.G and Space Station Gaming. Current rumors are that First Killer and LJ are looking to play together. And what does that necessarily mean? Do they stick with Chronic, which I would assume is the most likely option? Or do they go with Hoxer on Space Station? Or do they do a new third altogether? And then maybe the rumors of T1 coming in and picking them up is a possibility. We do not know. The only thing that we have seen rumored is that FK and LJ are looking to pair. Who that third is, whether it be a completely different option, whether it be like a Chicago or a Com or an Arsenal or an Evo, or we don't know. I genuinely do not know who that third would be. To my knowledge, I think they've already locked in who that is. But whether it is going to be pre-existing teammates or someone new altogether and a new org to pair, because that would be a very enticing roster, whether they're going to be able to get the money they want is a totally different story, because we've already seen talks from Gen.G and Space Station saying stuff isn't sustainable. OG Esports just left saying, hey, part of the reason is we can't sustain. There's not enough sponsorship or event opportunities, so on and so forth. So what's going to happen with this kind of collection of 6 to 7 players, depending on who fills in and who leaves and who goes elsewhere? That domino effect is going to be pretty weird. As for the former LG roster, RMC, Reddles, Magic Bear, and Cheese, a lot of talks of them desiring to stick together. Same thing applies to Shopify Rebellion. I've heard many a thing of saying, hey, we have full intentions of sticking. We're happy with it. I talked to Justin quite a bit at Worlds, and he seemed like he was vibing. He's very happy with the Rebellion situation. They treat him very nicely. No reason to really leave. Maybe they want to upgrade the roster and try to make it a bit more competitive, but then you start going into the conversation. Do you break up the duo? Does Justin maybe go somewhere? We don't know. Dignitas rumors right now are rebuilding around Stizzy. Arsenal has made it public that he is LFT. As for Evo, we haven't really heard much. Maybe Stizzy Evo in a third. Maybe they try something altogether. We were trying to put together top free agents and what that may look like. I'm a big fan of what could be from JNaps and Com. Selfishly, I want JNaps to play with Garrett because I've been wanting that since season 5. But maybe that's nostalgia I'm holding on to and probably won't be the best result. I've also heard with Energy, Zenil is a pretty hefty option due to, one, last year I know Zenil had a really solid tryout with NRG, but it didn't go through due to management situations. Whether that's true or not, we'll find out. There's also conversation of a new up-and-coming talent. Talk is the talk of the town. Maybe we see some Canadian duo pair up and they pair it with some veteran talent. Maybe you see Chicago go into something like this. Maybe Arsenal. I don't know what that team is going to formulate or become. We then talk about TSM. Right now, it's a rumor that Wavy is getting the boot and he's going to look elsewhere. What that'll lead to and where he'll end up, maybe somewhere in these options, we don't know. A lot of people believe in Zenil because the current CRL team that they play for is Hockey, Creams, and Zenil. That is a trio that plays in CRL together. Being able to play in both CRL reps and RLCS reps together may not be the worst idea. As for that, Snowmen, a lot of conversation of them probably sticking and trying to build together. And then the one that I mentioned at the very beginning with G2 about imports coming in, potentially not being a difference. Complexity has made it public. They have full intentions of coming back to North America for the 2025 season. with CRR, Razebull, and Diaz as the current roster iteration. Whether that changes or not, and maybe they pull from some of these, we don't know. Might not be a bad idea. But Complexity had visa issues in the past. They say, hey, we are way ahead of that this time. So Complexity very likely coming back into North America, which is going to cause a little bit more chaos. Now, with that in mind, I look at all these rosters and I go, okay, maybe there's like 1 to 3 rosters that I'm like, yep, super competitive. The G2 team, yep, I feel confidently in them. Outside of that, things get a little bit less consistent in my brain for like, you will be a tried and true competitor. I think us not getting Shift Summer League was a really big blow because the playoffs, I think, would have given us a little bit more insight into how that was going. I think the RMC guys really put together some strong offseason performances, and I wanted to see them play in playoffs against the top dogs, but we never got to see that, which is really unfortunate. I will say, in regards to Shift Summer League, all of production and everybody is being compensated in full. So everybody was mad about that getting put down and the Kraft family pulling out of Oxygen and all those complications. I have confirmation that the guys are being paid, which is awesome to hear. I know that's not relevant to roster stuff. I think it's just good news. Jumping over to Europe, this is where things get spicy and scary. The big players, the big 4, Vitality, K-Corp, Gentlemates, and BDS. They are refining and getting even stronger. Winning a world championship isn't enough. They want to stay one ahead. And if rumors are true, it's going to be pretty crazy. This one is not a rumor. K-Corp is 100% locked in for 2025. They are pulling the former world champion Indrali over to the team to pair with Vatira and Atau. Pretty dang good roster, if you ask me. We will likely get to see them in a few weeks, if not a couple weeks, in Flip and Spin playoffs. The playoffs, so the closed qualifiers next Tuesday. And then I think a few days after that, if not a week after that, will then be the playoffs, which is a top 8 best of 7 where you will see this roster in debut. They have an automatic invite. They will be competing in that. If they win that best of 7, then they go to Paris Games Week and they play in France in front of a live crowd. As for Vitality, this is what the rumors are pointing at. Zen and Exotic, we know, are buddy-buddy. Monkey Moon and Exotic look like they're both going to be out of contract when it comes to the 2025 season. So no buyouts, nothing holding them back, no right of refusal from BDS. And if Monkey Moon goes with the best defender in the world, objectively, in my opinion, he is up there. That team, to me, is your number 1 assumed team on paper to be the best in the world. And my hope is we also get to see that early in Flip and Spin. What does that mean for the leftovers? BDS potentially disbanding. There's also rumors of Gentlemates currently rebuilding around Seiko. Potentially Oski, potentially Radosin. Maybe Seiko keeps Itachi. Maybe he keeps Juicy. Don't know. If that doesn't happen, then Itachi Juicy or Itachi Seiko or one of those iterations maybe makes a new team. Who they pair with that third, whether it be Rise or Radosin or one of the other numerous free agents, I couldn't tell you. Maybe apparently Jack. We'll put that in there just as a placeholder because Jack, we couldn't find a team. We didn't know where he was going to fulfill. We don't know. Outside of that, you got the former Oxygen team. Obviously, the boys are baiting on social media just like they did last year, where Archie and Rise and all those guys are tweeting about what's going on. Joyo just put out a Let's Get Wet tweet about Moist. Who knows what's going to happen with these guys? But right now, they're just ex-Oxygen. What their third's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Rise. But who knows? Usually the English guys want to stick together. We'll have to wait and see. Alongside that, we have seen the former Luna Galaxy team playing under Amai with Atomic Tox and Tekos. I think they've looked relatively solid. Little bit of a choke fest in the first qualifier, but they really shirred up in that lower bracket over Service. So I think, as you guys have mentioned, if this team sticks with Ivan Raziers and Rizex, again, they are playing together in the Flip and Spin quals. I think they could play massive upset. I think the Service team actually has a ton of potential. Outside of that, there's the team that I'm currently coaching. We're in the tryout phase. I'll tell you guys that straightforward right now. With Super Oli, it is Joria's Oli and Nas. That is at a tryout period. We're just trying to see how things go. We're taking things pretty chill. Just figuring out how we want to go about it. We're playing in Flip and Spin. We were the first team to qualify in uppers in Flip and Spin qualifier 1. So we've had about a 2-week break. before we get into closed qualifiers, which will be on the 8th. Make sure you guys tune into that. It is the top 8 from Flip and Spin closed quals, which will not include Vitality, K Corp, or BDS. They have automatic quals. So that also leads me to believe some concerns because BDS has an automatic qualifier into that event, and we don't know what the roster is going to be. Pretty crazy stuff. Outside of that, Endpoint is currently seen playing. They did just perform recently with Smokes instead. Cash has also been filling in. And then 100%, which was known as 200% in the second qual, is Acro, Lewis, and Grandma. So again, there's a lot of moving parts. There's still a lot of different players we haven't talked about. We don't know what's going on with Ixo and the former Jobless team. Matane and Arju are free agents now that they're longer on Endpoint. They've been let go. We do not go. There's so many rosters that we could find that kind of slip into that top 10. But realistically, I think you look at your top 5, top 6 potentials as a hypothetical when you think about the rosters or the players within BDS, Gentlemates, Vitality, K Corp, Oxygen, and then the former M80/Jobless. The teams that, if you look at the rankings, were kind of right in that conversation. You guys probably can't see it on that page. But like the teams that had rosters and players in this kind of area, going to go through a little bit of refinement, and they're going to look pretty dang solid. I think you're going to have some very strong teams. And to keep in mind with that, 4 teams that make it into Worlds and into Majors, with 1 team coming from last chance qualifiers. That 5th spot is going to be so competitive. We saw literally that go down in North America as well between Shopify and OG, where it came down to a Game 7 OT. Winner of that makes the Major, gets a couple additional points, probably finds themselves at the World Championship. It is going to be competitive. It's tough to put these rosters together. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Especially NA. I don't know where the heck people are gonna go. It looks chaotic, but I will do my best to keep you guys up to date. This is kind of just an all-encompassing overall look. When you see the first sign-up page of RLCS 2025 in January, this is kind of a very early iteration. I plan to do this once a month, just to kind of show you guys the progression and the transition of, okay, people are starting to fill into spots. Things are going to happen. But again, a lot of these unconfirmed, a lot of these are rumors. That's what the document is for. Go to that document in the description down below, just so you can see the difference between what is confirmed and what is rumored. But with that in mind, as always, I appreciate the love and support. As always, let me know what you guys think down below. Any kind of crazy rosters you want a Theorycraft to put together, I'd love to hear them. Whether you do it in the comments or over on the stream, come join us. And while you're down there, if you guys enjoy it, hit the subscribe button. It helps me out greatly.